Welcome back, YouTubers, to another TNA Impact Wrestling review in the UK, brought to you by UK's own British Fist.
Catching!
We're actually English, we're not Scots, that's all I can say. I'm Mr. Parkin, this guy sitting next to me is none other than NJ, people.
The kilt wearing NJ. What's up?
The kilt, yeah, you are a quarter Irish, aren't you?
Quarter Irish, yes.
And as you can see, I'm wearing my England top because I'm patriotically English, and we are the British Fist.
Catching again.
Once again, subscribe down below, comment your thoughts on this show down below, and like this video also if you will.
And make sure you contact us and send in your "What's up?" clips to the links in the description box below.
Yeah, before we get on to the show, just a quick little discussion about the arena and the feel of the show. It did feel a lot bigger this week, mainly because you had a bigger crowd, and the crowd was just much better than the Impact Zone generally.
You cannot get past the UK crowd. When it comes to wrestling, the UK crowd always brings it. WWE sometimes, TNA a lot of the time. So the thing is, when you come to the UK, you do accept the quality. Every promo in the ring, the reaction was there, the crowd was there, so it felt so alive here.
And that's mainly because we don't get it very often, so when we do get it, we kind of have to appreciate it. And we opened up the show with Bad Influence come out dressed as Braveheart with kilts and Braveheart face paint, basically pledging to the Scots. This was really entertaining. I really enjoyed the way they opened this with trying to get heel heat on themselves by pledging to Scotland, basically.
This is the best thing about the heels. When the heels come out, depending where they're at, they know their history. They know what's going to get them over, like CM Punk, WWE, these two here. They know the history. They know the background. So attacking them with the compliments and stuff about Scotland really got the crowd alive.
And it was funny as well, because we all know us English hate the Scots and the Welsh. Out comes Magnus, fresh from his injury, which was actually a nice surprise. He got a very, very good reaction, and he invites them to fight, basically takes out Bad Influence on his own. So Magnus was getting a pretty good rub tonight, as we saw by the next match also.
And as we saw, that Magnus took out our ex-tag team champions.
Indeed. So Magnus got a pretty good rub tonight, and it was a pretty good way to bring him back. I mean, the crowd loved Magnus. You're starting off the show with a Brit, you know, coming out on top, which is good. He calls out Devon for the Aces and Eights attacks a couple of months ago, and we get Magnus versus Devon, the first open fight night style match where the Aces and Eights interfere, and once again Magnus is getting some Sheamus and Cena booking by single-handedly taking all three of the Aces and Eights members out. But do we give a fuck? He's from Britain. He should be taking these guys out.
That's the thing with Magnus. Yes, the feud with Joe didn't really go in his favour. Here's another run. So with the fact that you've got him a good start in the UK, keep it going. Because I believe that Magnus, yes, because of his booking, you really don't see him as a main eventer yet. But I still think he could definitely bring something to the TNA roster.
They brought him back the best way possible, in my opinion, very strongly, and I hope to see more from Magnus. And you know, he's a Brit, and TNA should be pushing this guy as a main event star some way down the line, because then you can maybe even give him a championship and maybe tour him around Britain as, you know, one of your centerpieces, which is one of the great things about Magnus. Joseph Park versus Robbie E. Joseph Park's Impact Wrestling television debut, and he gets a win against Robbie E. I know I've said this too many times, but I love the Joseph Park character. It's so entertaining for me. I was so glad to see that he actually manages to get a win over Robbie E, which, let's face it, even for a guy who's just come out of developmental, is actually very believable, because all he does is his job nowadays.
Yeah, him beating Robbie E shocked the crowd. He's faced people like Devon and that. I thought Joseph Park could have called out a different name, but just for a win, a believable win, an easy win, this match made sense for him.
Well, technically, Joseph Park never called out to Robbie E. Robbie E called himself out, really, didn't he? So let's just move on. Aries and Roode are out next. Clearly, the crowd was on their side. You know, they talked about how they're continuing to get robbed, and they're going to collect all the gold in TNA as a kind of two-man power trip alliance TNA version 2, and how they're going to start off with the easiest championship, none other than the tag championships, and the tag champs come out, and as boring as they were generally, it's funny to see that during this segment the crowd were very pro Aries and very pro Roode, whereas they weren't really into Chavo and Hernandez. They had to put in a lot of canned heat when they came out.
The thing is, the way it went down is you have even though Aries was mentioning going after the tag belt stuff, sticking up to the main event scene, the crowd wanted it, the crowd wanted to see it. So that brings up to the following match. After we've had Roode versus Hernandez, we've got Aries and Chavo. Chavo's, when he started to answer back, he got some reaction, but it was more leaning towards the heels, which perfectly would. Everyone loves Aries.
Pretty much everyone in Britain loves Aries, as we saw from last year, and we get the stipulation that if Aries beats Chavo, then they get their shot at the tag championships. We get to the match itself. Austin Aries wins after the interruption by Bobby Roode. Don't know why you couldn't have had Austin Aries win this match clean, but
Aries did not need Roode. Yes, in the match it looked like he did, but someone like Aries should not need Roode to beat Chavo.
It's amazing how over Austin Aries is. One of the most over guys on this tour right now, and so yeah, it looks like they're going to get a tag title shot, and I just fucking hope they win because I'm fed up of Los Stereotypicos.
And that's the thing, because yes, I've mentioned this before. When's this tag team title match going to happen? TV. Yes, they have to now because the pay-per-view's been spread out further apart. It's a bit of a shame, but at least it's going to build up a storyline to something else down the line.
And it'll give something to the UK fans as well, I guess. Some title change. Be good. Our main event was, will Bully Ray be reinstated, excuse me. Now, I guess my thing with this segment is that you'd think reinstating someone would take about 2, maybe 3 minutes. But when you get Sting and Hogan involved, you know it's going to probably take about 10 to 15 minutes, don't you? For a segment that really should take about 2 or 3.
Throughout the night, I thought it was going to be Hogan's segment, thinking, am I going to do this? Or he's going to explain why he's not doing it. But you got loads of Bully Ray segments. Where's Hogan? Why is he not answering? Blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, this storyline, I really don't believe it should have happened. Bully Ray, before this whole marriagey, rubbishy thing, he was the guy who I love to see, and TNA pretty know that he's over. He knows he's the best. He knows how great he is. This whole suspension thing, I didn't like it.
I believe this is a way to get Hogan and Sting on TV for the UK fans. They got a very good reaction, probably one of the best reactions of the night. No real surprise with Hogan involved. And Bully Ray, very anticlimactically, is reinstated, which we all knew was going to happen. And we get the announcement from Hogan that next week it'll be Sting and Bully Ray versus 2 members of the Aces and Eights in a tables match. Now, I'm guessing that will be the main event of next week's show, by the way they were talking about it.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
Just want to touch on something here. Apparently, the reason why Taz is in the Aces and Eights is because they needed a better mouthpiece, and Devon wasn't good enough, and I guess my little answer to that is mouthpieces wasn't really what they needed. It was wins that they needed, really, wasn't it? It was the old W, as Joseph Park likes to call it.
If you wanted mouthpiece, you've got this heel faction in Aries and Roode. That could have been one faction you could have had ages ago, but not anymore. Taz, like I said in our awards thing, I don't care about Taz cutting Mike on the commentary. I don't really care, so good choice.
Especially when he's like half the size of most of the members. But there we go. We get some interesting news from Dixie Carter, which we'll address more on our Friday video. Impact apparently is going to be going on the road now, starting from March the 14th. Their first show is going to be live from Chicago. They're getting out of that Impact zone. This is very good news for TNA. I look forward to seeing how they develop this further.
This thing is going to probably cost them a lot of money, but in the long run, especially if they go to the UK more, or if they go to other big states, they're going to get their name out there. The promotion will probably grow with it. So this could be a good thing, but to begin with, it's going to cost a lot of money.
It will cost a lot of money, but the fact of the matter is they need to get their product out there more. It's one of the massive qualms I have with TNA, that they don't generally market their product that much. And one of the best ways to market your product is to go to different states and say, here we are. You know, why don't you try watching us? You know, so
it will work.
What WWE have done. They're big. We had, James Storm and Velvet Sky. Didn't ever think I'd mention those two in the same sentence. Versus Tara and Jesse Goddard. Now, I just want to mention one thing here. You know, how much are they dropping the ball with James Storm right now? It's like last year he was main eventing some of these shows, and now he's in a segment which was primarily based around Velvet Sky versus Tara. What are they doing with James Storm right now?
Straight away, when I heard that Velvet Sky was calling out James Storm, I thought, okay, you could have used Robbie T again. It would have made a bit more sense. But no, James Storm, the guy who had a whole year run in a big feud, going for the championship, and all of a sudden now you've got no real idea for him until probably AJ comes back. But now you're putting him into stupid matches that have no meaning, just puts James Storm onto the show. But I just really thought this was absolutely ridiculous of TNA to do this.
And this is the issue with like long-term storylines sometimes, is the fact that you get all this build-up to no payoff. And it's like with the Aces and Eights storyline, probably going to get a payoff down the line, but it's not going to be anywhere near as good as it should really be, considering the amount of TV time it's been given. Velvet Sky pins Tara. This match is probably going to happen at Lockdown, so there we go. We're going to get to our main event segment of the night, which we knew was Angle versus Mr. Anderson. And a couple of interesting things happened before the match. They showed that footage of their match back in 2010 at Lockdown, when Anderson's character, in my opinion, was at the peak of its career. It's amazing how far down that Anderson character has gone, and how little I can... How I find it very hard to care for Mr. Anderson now after that sort of 2-year character roller coaster he's been on.
The video package definitely showed when we almost started to watch wrestling. Anderson was in the main event, getting wrapped up with the World Championship. Very good spot. Showed us one of the best matches that started it all off. And that was all good and all. But then we get to the match, and there's a few slip-ups here.
A few slip-ups.
Yes.
First, though, we had a little tease of what was going to happen later. Joe got taken out before the match happened. Who? So we had... By who, exactly? We'll find out in about roughly 30 seconds once we covered the match analysis portion of this main event review, of the TNA Impact Wrestling review. The match itself was... I mean, it was typical Angle and Anderson. I mean, a typically good match between the two. I mean, they were hitting a lot of finishers, which I was like, you know... Can you not build up to your finisher? I mean, it's 3.5 minutes in, and Angle's already hitting his finisher. He then hits his finisher off the top rope, only for Anderson to get straight back up and hit his finisher. Can we not try and build up to these finishers a bit more so they mean a little bit more?
My sad thing about this, the match, yes, you do expect quality, you expect goodness from both of them. Shows that Anderson still got it and all that. But the result came to the exact one they showed us in the 2010 match, which was a little bit disappointing, but... Like Terminator NJ would say, or we would say, the Aces and Eights just don't win matches.
Indeed, and the Angle just gets the win, which we all knew he was going to get, and we all knew the Aces and Eights were going to lose. But then we get to the post-match segment, and there might be some varying views on this. We get Angle in the ring, there's an Aces and Eights member that comes in, and we get Garrett Bischoff voluntarily taking off his mask with a maskless Wes Briscoe. Now... I thought the whole point of the Aces and Eights was that anonymity was key and was important. And now you're getting members like Garrett Bischoff who just revealing themselves, and Wes Briscoe who just came out without a mask. I mean, what's the premise of this Aces and Eights of this Aces and Eights group now that, you know, the members are just unmasking themselves willy-nilly now?
Most of it, I'm going to bash it, but the one understanding I'm going to give it is, obviously, you have one Aces and Eights member trapped in the ring and one not. He reveals himself to surprise Angle that it's one of his own friends and stuff, so it makes like, oh, we don't expect that, but obviously we saw it coming.
We saw it coming months ago, didn't we?
With Wes Briscoe on his own. But the bad thing about it is, the Aces and Eights, I don't really care. Wes Briscoe reveals his long hair to show the one that he is. So... I like it, because obviously it was them thinking, oh, we're going to get the Aces and Eights member, reveals to be Garrett, revealed members, hopefully there's only about 2 there.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, let's put it this way. The Aces and Eights faction has Devon, Taz, and now Garrett. So the faction really isn't looking all that strong. And the fact of the matter is, we saw this coming months ago. I mean, it wasn't even like it was a surprise. We saw it coming a couple of months ago, really.
During the build-up before, I really thought Joe was going to hint that he was going to be part of the Aces and Eights, but obviously Garrett and Wes attacked him and made it look like they did do it, and then we got this. Okay.
Yeah, so at least they've done something with the Aces and Eights, despite the fact that I'm really not all that interested in it right now. So you could say it was a decent way to finish the show. At least they're trying to forward on this storyline, which hopefully will end at Lockdown now, please.
Aces and Eights, each and every week, you're getting worthless, This week, you've got Wes Briscoe and Garrett bloody Bischoff in your faction. They're in the ring, fighting their way, trying to make us give a damn about them when we don't. 2 wrestlers in your Ace and Eights faction. What the hell's going to come next? This worthless faction should be given to someone as foolish as Falkler. But believe me, fans, TNA fans, worthless mortals, in a couple of weeks' time, you're going to not want to miss my promos, because believe me, the best is yet to come.
Soon.
What was that? Soon? Did I hear him say soon? He sounded like Bane.
I don't know who the hell that was or what's going to be happening. Is someone coming after us? What?
Let's just finish off this review and sort this out later. So what were your overall thoughts on this show, NJ? Just quickly before we wrap this up.
I think it was a better show than last week. I wasn't as bored. There was stuff that got me laughing, entertained, storyline brought on. The main event, okay. The reveal at the end weren't that spectacular, but I didn't think it was that bad of a show.
Soon. What? My thoughts on this show, the UK crowd and the atmosphere helped this show a lot. What would have generally been probably a below average impact ended up being a above average impact simply because of the atmosphere there. And that is all I'll say about the show. I'll just say that I somewhat enjoyed the show. Leave us your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below. And I'm going to try and figure out what the fuck's going on right now, man.
We definitely need to work this out, but from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, that voice that threw us off, I'm going to say this, people. Tune into next week, and goodbye.